Do you want the water?
Yes. We don't buy styrofoam.
I was trying to use them all.
Oh, that's actually wet.
Oh, there's a,
This is kind of fancy up here. There's all kinds of resources. They'll take, they'll get it. There's also the way to stick it on.
oh,
Oh, that's how I
I
got it,
have
lucky.
a thing for her too. I should have brought that one.
Yeah, it's Janet's call. How much time she wants to give him.
I know, I'm gonna have to I don't know why he's not here. I'm gonna bang that gavel in a second.
Are we getting make them late and then guys work day?
Okay, great.
Oh, I wonder if he went down to Burns Park.
He wouldn't have done that
I
when he had
wouldn't
to
have,
be
I
back.
would hope not.
No. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah, I'll text him and ask him.
I'd got it.
No, but I'm getting ready to rec center. I think I made all of my.
Oh, so you have an absentee ballot that needs to be returned?
Yes, I'm one of the, on return.
Okay, you and Miley.
Don't worry, it's coming this week. It's coming this week. It might come directly to,
I got Joanne's.
it might come directly to your,
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if he got one.
We get 5 minutes to go, party for that door, just say, is it already here? There he is, speaking of them.
oh, Brian. Otherwise,
You're little late today, Mayor.
Yeah, I just running a bit behind.
we're missing Jack.
Yeah, he's still away.
We're still awake?
Okay. Anyway,
I thought he said he was going to be, so.
Yeah, that's what I thought. When we picked this date for the meeting, he and Nicole both said they weren't available.
And then that's,
And we need the
Check, check, check. Nothing.
Brian, try now.
we'll meet you. Only 5 of them tonight.
Yeah.
Other houses have had a couple acres of done groceries.
I can share this one.
Check, 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 check.
Check, down.
Okay, no problem, yeah.
Check, check, check.
Chuck and I can share.
Check, check.
Carrie, you good? Okay. I'd like to call the Saline City Council meeting to order. If you please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, members present this evening are council members Gearbaugh, Lesh, Harmount, Mayor Pro Tem Dillon, and Mayor Marl. From city staff, we have City Manager O'Toole, Clerk Royal, Engineer Humphreys is with us, and our HR specialist, Ms. Getzman, is also present. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as submitted unless there are amendments.
So moved.
As
Second.
submitted? Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Dillon, seconded by Councilmember Gearbaugh. All those in favor of approving the agenda as submitted signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, the motion carries unanimously. I guess we have absences this evening from both Councilmembers Rice and Mr. Seo, as were previously expressed when we scheduled this special meeting some 30 days ago. Is there a motion now to excuse the absence of both our colleagues? So moved by Lesh, and was that seconded by Harmount?
Yes.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving the absences of council members Rice and Seo signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, the motion carries unanimously. We come now to the first of two public comment periods. Under the Open Meetings Act, any person may come forward at this time, make comment or question on an item that appears on this agenda. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Anyone who would like to speak is requested, but of course not required to state his or her name and address for the record. Are there any citizen comments on agenda items this evening? There appear to be none in the audience. Clerk Royal, did we receive any written comments in advance of tonight's meeting in which the individual wanted their remarks read at this time? Easy enough. Then we'll proceed to the one and only presentation, which is healthcare renewal. And I think our HR director is going to provide an introduction, and then she will turn it over to Kelly Harness from the Katnick Insurance Group.
This is, I think, Kelly's first year presenting this. She's taking over for Beth, so she's going to present on our health insurance options this year, and I'll let her take over.
Good evening, thank you. I was here last year, but under the tutelage of Beth, as you guys know, Sorry, I was here last year. I was sitting down. I've been on working with the city now for about 1.5 years. So thank you. Looking forward to presenting this evening to you. I understand that you do have the packet that I gave Elle probably about 1.5 weeks ago. So without further ado, we are here to talk about the 2025 insurance renewals for the city, actives, retiree, pre-retirees. So with that being said, excuse me, I should probably flip this through. So the 2025 insurance renewals reflect a premium increase of $167,438 for the 2025 plan year. Now those numbers include dental, vision, life, and your disability insurance for your actives and the retirees through the city. So the Blue Care Network Blue Cross Blue Shield medical renewal is an increase of $152,896. We break that down for actives, it's $56,138, and an increase of $96,757 for the retiree coverage. Now, what we did this year, and we haven't for the last couple years, on the retirees, Elle did give us kind of an aggregate of what they pay, so we backed those out of those numbers. The vision reflects a slight decrease. Insurance for both the high and low plan for both those plans is an increase of $14,571. And then the Mutual of Omaha life and disability lines got a rate pass. They do not renew again until January of 2027. So we should be set with those as well next year. PA 152 increase is the hard cap. The increase for the PA 152 is 0.2%. I don't know if you recall last year it was about 4.1%. It's 0.2% this year for 2025. So what does that mean? That's an overall for the active increase of 2026. And I have that broken down here. We'll look at that in a moment. As you recall, in 2020, Katnick started to unblend the rates. You know, we get the insurance premium rates, and we unblended those rates. It was determined by the nature of blending those rate calculation, it was adversely affecting your active employees. So we started doing that blending and unblending of rates. Let me just flip to this page. Can you hear me okay in the speaker? Okay. So what we did is for the PA 152, I took the single, two-person, and family enrollment, the 2024 PA 152 rates versus the 2025, and the increase per the single, double, and family. for that total increase of a little over $2,026 for the PA 152 portion of that. Okay? If we go down further into this chart, I broke it down for the active, for your active employees, for the unblended rate factor. And I mentioned these numbers here a moment ago. It's 56,138. Your retiree medical insurance received an increase of 96,757. And I don't know if in your packets, one of the reasons we saw a rate increase pretty significant to the Medicare Advantage plans, which we haven't for the last number of years, it's been a very minimal or flat increase, is for a couple different factors. Starting in January of 2025, there's what's called an Inflation Act, where they're changing the Medicare Part D part of it, the prescription part of that. There's going to be a cap of $2,000 for what someone would have to pay in Medicare Part D. So that's pushing down more responsibility, financial responsibility onto the carriers, in addition to less funding through CMS. This is their second year in a row, and they've gotten decreased funding. So they used to use some of that funding to help offset any increases they would see. So that's why over the last probably 4 or 5 years, it's been minimal. Well, that's all changed. So this year we saw a pretty significant increase to the Medicare Advantage plans. We did look at some alts. We decided to stay put. I mentioned that there is increase on the dental for the active and retirees of $14,571, a slight decrease in the medical, or excuse me, the dental, and then again the life insurance is staying flat. The life and disability is staying flat. So the annual increase cost to the city of Saline is $152,394. Which therefore is $31,704 an annual increased cost to your employees. We do go out, or I spoke to, had a conversation. I know there's a, we have stuck with Blue Cross Blue Shield Blue Care Network for some very specific reasons, part of which is the Medicare retirees. There's quite a few contracts in there. We have 38 in the PPO and 9 in the HMO for a total of 47 contracts in the Medicare Advantage plans. I did have a conversation with another major medical carrier in Michigan in August to see, had they changed their underwriting rules? What do their plans look like? And they still have not moved off of the mix that you have of your active and retirees. So unfortunately, they were not an option either. So we stayed with the Blues for another year. So myself and Elle and Colleen, we met for our renewal meeting in July, and then we had a pre-renewal meeting in July, our renewal meeting in September, and then subsequently we've had 2 healthcare committee meetings in October. And they voted to stay with the plans they have, knowing PA 152 is going to affect them a little bit, but they did not want to entertain any other plan changes during both of our working sessions with the healthcare committee.
Very good. Appreciate that. PR Specialist Getzman, is there anything else that you would like to add? HR Director, excuse me. My apologies. Nothing else for the record? Okay. City Manager O'Toole, is there anything that you'd like to add before we open up for questions? Obviously, this material was distributed to my council colleagues last week, so I'm sure you've entertained some questions between when the packet was distributed on Wednesday and this evening. But if you'd like to add anything for the record, we would welcome that at this time.
Nothing further this time, just that this is within our expected budget, at least on the city's cost side. And as referenced in her presentation, employees were presented with alternatives that would have reduced their out-of-pocket expenses, but ultimately the HR committee elected to retain our existing benefits.
Very good. Are there questions for our guests from Katnick Insurance Group or for city staff? Mr. Gearbaum?
Off the hook, if you will. So that's where this warranty agreement came in, is that these 2 outstanding issues, we've identified in this agreement how we're going to move forward, addressing those and making sure that they are in compliance with our standards while also accepting the roads. I mean, these roads are intended to be public. I'm a firm believer in public roads for the residents. So this development agreement allows us to move forward with acceptance of the roads, but still addressing the 2 issues.
Very good. City Manager O'Toole, anything you'd like to add?
No, I covered it very well.
Excellent. Are there questions for Engineer Humphreys? Mayor Pro Tem Dillon.
The microphone. Just wanted to confirm, so are we doing on-site inspections periodically? Are they required to report back to us? Is it a collaboration?
I love this question. When this development agreement was approved by the city, our standards were different, and our standards required at that time that the developer provide inspection services and then provide us with copies of all the documentation. That's one of the things that we changed in the recently updated engineering standards. So we totally flipped the process on its head, and we're hiring we're having the developer, I should say, put an escrow to hire one of our consultants to oversee the public infrastructure to make sure it's built in general conformance with the plans. I feel very confident if our inspector had been on site, they never would have let that lift go down in 5 inches, and we wouldn't even be here today having this discussion.
Thank you for that. My only other question was, and it was just, I may have just misunderstood the way it was written. So we have, it basically runs October to October, timeframe of 2 years. So is that 2 years to discover issues, 2 years, so on the last day, if we discover something of the 2-year span, it's still covered within this, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for Engineer Humphries? Councilmember Harmon.
Yeah, prior to this meeting, I had sent the city manager the question, she answered it, so I just wanted, or also the city engineer answered it. So the question I had was has the developer submitted all of the required documentation listed in the warranty agreement? And if not, what's the status in the pending documents? And the response that I received was, yes, we've received the last of the final documents, and so we're okay on that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you.
One last call for questions for the city engineer. Appear to be none. We have a motion on the floor moved by Dillon, seconded by Lesh to acknowledge receipt of the memo. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Ayes having, the motion carries unanimously. Is there a motion now to approve or not to approve?
To approve?
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Dillon to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Lesh. Is there any additional discussion on the motion? Appears to be none. All those in favor of approving say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Ayes have it, the motion carries unanimously. We move on to new business item 24-200, resolution to accept public roads and utilities. This will be a motion to acknowledge receipt of the memo from Engineer Humphries and to approve or not to approve the dedication of land for public street purposes and to adopt or not to adopt resolution number 24-200 for Act 25 street resolution. Is there a motion?
Motion to acknowledge, approve, and adopt.
Moved by Dillon to acknowledge, approve, and adopt. Is there a second? Seconded by Lesh. Engineer Humphries.
So this is all the legal stuff we need to do to get the roads into our road network. The dedication of land for public service or for public streets will be recorded with the Washtenaw County Register of Deeds. That gives us about another mile of local roads that will be under our jurisdiction. And then the resolution is what we submit to the state of Michigan, so we start getting funding for these roads in 2025.
Very good. Glad to see this come to fruition. I'm smiling because the city manager will recall from the winter of 2023 into 2024, my office, and I believe hers as well, received numerous phone calls, emails, and messages from residents in phases 2 and phases 3 about the city not salting and plowing those streets, which of course we did not do because they were not public streets. Which seemed strange to some residents and homeowners until the process was explained. So the only reason I bring that up, Engineer Humphries and City Manager O'Toole, is I believe our PR generalist has contacts for the HOA that covers both phases 2 and 3. Ah, very good. Thank you for being here tonight. Yes, I'm sure you are. I guess I would implore you or encourage you, and my office and the city staff is willing to help in any way possible, but we want to make sure that word gets out to your residents, assuming this motion passes this evening, that city crews, specifically DPW, will be maintaining your streets henceforth. Thank you for being here. Thank you for acknowledging that. My apologies, I did not realize we had representatives from the HOA present this evening. Are there questions for city staff regarding this motion? Mayor Pro Tem Dillon.
No, just actually a very quick DPW question. So now that they're there, will they be incorporated into our flushing system?
And actually, we have been flushing the hydrants for the last, because the water system's all hydraulically connected, so we flush hydrants even on private water mains because it's a way for us to maintain the actual water main. So really, flushing hydrants is a way for us to maintain all the pipe that's in the ground. So we've been doing that for, years.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Any discussion on the motion? It's been properly moved by Dylan, seconded by Lesh to acknowledge, to approve, and to adopt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Roads are dedicated. Thank you very much. We move on to our last new business item, which is 24-206, WARMA Pledge of Support. This will be a motion to acknowledge receipt of the memo from City Engineer Humphreys and to approve or not to approve the participating member municipality contract. Moved by Dylan, simply to
Second.
acknowledge, and that was seconded by Harmount.
Yes.
Thank you very much. City Engineer Humphreys, the floor is yours.
I'm just going to do a quick introduction. We have Theo from Washtenaw County here, and I'm sorry, Theo, I'm going to let you say your last name. Hegermont. And also Bob Davies, who's with the attorney with WARMA. He was going to give a little background, and then they're there to answer questions.
Very good. We welcome you here tonight, gentlemen. Do you have a PowerPoint that needs to be presented on the screen? No.
We do
Then
not.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you can.
Excellent. I'll try to keep my comments brief. So when I was preparing statements or comments for tonight, I kept going back to WARMA's evolution, and I just want to cue this up and you can have some questions for Bob after that on the specific item that's to be addressed tonight. But in the first couple years we got formed, we were figuring out what we were going to do. We spent most of our time working on education and outreach, and I feel like we did a really good job of getting grants and using additional dollars, leveraging those to do education and outreach, to help people understand why it's important to recycle, how to remove contamination from our curbside recycling so that we could have something that was of value and we can capture that value. So you always have to continue to do education, and I think we'll continue to work on that and do that. But WARMA's ready for the next phase of what we're looking to do, because I don't think that WARMA should exist as an entity just to continue on working on education forever. There's more that needs to be done, and there's additional value that WARMA can capture for municipalities and for residents. So where we're at now is we have the opportunity where 4 different municipalities, their contract terms expire at the same time. And so it's something where we can combine our efforts, utilize expertise through Bob and through WARMA to put those contracts into one and leverage that to have additional negotiating power with haulers and to provide consolidated services so that your DPW, Pittsfield's DPW, Ypsilanti's DPW, Ypsilanti Township's DPW don't have to do all the same things, so that we can work together to consolidate those services. I know that this can work because I've done it for the schools, for Saline School District. We formed a consortium of 36 different schools so that they're not doing the same thing all at the same time. We ended up, we're still working on figuring out how many dollars we save, but we think it's about $2 million over 5 years for 36 schools, which is significant for school districts. They don't have a lot of money. Those are dollars that they can spend elsewhere. And we actually, in that same process, we're able to use those dollars to double the amount of education that we're doing around recycling in the schools. So we're able to provide a better service because of the way that we're doing things. I think WARMA can do the exact same thing. And so what we're looking to do with this specific item is to form that relationship between WARMA and the municipality so that we say, join us for this next go around until we put out an RFP together and we'll get those bids. So we're looking to commit the relationship from now until I think it's roughly April, so that we can put our lot together, see if we can get better pricing, take advantage of economies of scale, and see if we get really good pricing. There's fail-safe mechanisms for you where if you feel like this didn't work out for us, the costs weren't actualized in the way that we thought they would, there's a release clause. So you're not bound to anything. You can go out and get an RFP and see if you can do better in the open market at that time. And you'd still have plenty of time because your contract expires in September. So with that, I'll turn it over to Bob.
I don't think I'll be able to make any of you smile.
Thank you.
As much as you made the HOA people smile with the road dedication. Oh, it was noticeable. So under the law that allows for groups to get together and form an authority, it allows for 2 things to happen. It allows for you to form the authority with articles of incorporation, which you already participated in. And then it allows for you to go out into the market as one or all or, you know, and try to get the economies of scale on a contract. So there are two types of contracts that the law envision. One that binds the community to the authority and one that binds the authority to a contractor. This evening, we're here to talk to you about what's known as a Section 5 contract. And really what it says, when you're done going through all the words, is that you're agreeing under this contract to work with us through the RFP process and to the point of obtaining a contract. Embodied in this agreement is the fail-safe that if that process doesn't yield you in your discretion a deal that's at least 5% better than where your total costs are right now, you don't have to go any further. And that's the glue that holds the four of you who are participating in this together until we get to that certain point where one or all of you can say, you know, this just isn't working for us. We're not saving enough money. So, you know, I've represented 14 communities in Oakland County since 2001, and we've done a lot of good things there. At some point, we got rid of geographic boundaries and allowed haulers to bid on blocks of land as opposed to communities, so the truck didn't have to reach a certain point and turn around. And in that process, we lowered rates by 16% in 1 year by getting rid of those boundaries. I recently assembled 34 communities up north, which was more psychology than lawyering, I think, because we had everything from very small communities to Frankenmuth and some bigger Saginaw communities. So tonight is only the Section 5 step. It's a step that says you'll participate. If you don't like the RFP, you're probably out. If you don't like the contract for services that we solicit, you're out. If we don't do better on the pricing, you're out. Your discretion totally. And we amended the language recently to make sure that how you view your total service costs now versus what we're able to achieve from you is all within your discretion to look at that. And so the thing before you tonight is to allow us to say that you're willing to move forward with a Section 5 contract.
Excellent. That was very clear. Thank you, gentlemen. Hang tight in the event there are questions from my colleagues. Engineer Humphreys, is there anything you'd like to add?
Nope.
City Manager O'Toole? All right, I assume there's probably going to be several questions regarding the request tonight and the process overall, so let me just start to my left and I'll end to my right. Councilmember Harmount, do you have questions for city staff?
Yes, we have.
Or two guests?
We have 3 minutes for comment.
Take more than
Okay.
3 minutes.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'm Jen Harmount, City Council member. I want to say that I have some notes here, so you don't mind, I'm going to read a little bit.
No, that's great.
I strongly support this agenda item 24206, the WRMA Pledge for Support. This initiative represents a significant step forward in our city's commitment to sustainable and efficient waste management. By joining the WRMA Consortium, we are not only aligning ourselves with a regional effort to improve waste management practices, but also ensuring that our community benefits from the collective bargaining power and the expertise of the consortium. Here are the key points that I am personally sold on. The reason I support this is that there's a unified approach to waste management, and by the pledging not to solicit separate bids during the RFP process, we're streamlining the efforts to avoid redundancy, and so that's going to be more efficient. Expert management and oversight. The WRMA will manage our solid waste through the Section 5 contract, ensuring that our waste, yard waste, and recyclables are handled by a single accountable entity. This not only simplifies our waste management process, but also ensures that we meet high standards of service and environmental responsibility. And then also, as you mentioned before, the cost savings guarantee that we have the right to reject participation if the resulting service contract does not result in at least 5% cost savings compared to our current rates. This clause ensures that we are not only getting better service, but also saving taxpayer money. In conclusion, this pledge is a strategic move that aligns with our city's goals of sustainability, efficiency, and fiscal responsibility. I urge you all to support this agenda item and join me in committing to a cleaner, greener, and more cost-effective future for our community.
Thank you. That was very well stated. Appreciate your remarks. Mr. Gearbow, do you have any questions for our guests or for city staff?
Just a couple. You had mentioned the recycling program for the schools and joined together. This is just recycling? It does not involve waste or?
That was part of why we were able to get so much of the benefit, was because we worked with WISD to put out an RFP that combined trash and recycling. Sorry.
Pass the mic.
So when we formed the consortium of schools, we combined the trash and the recycling, and that's part of why we were able to achieve greater cost savings.
So Saline schools are currently having their trash and recyclables managed by?
Not by WARMA, sorry, I'm speaking on behalf of the county when I said that. So the county has a school recycling program, and we manage that. I serve as the interim manager of WARMA in my Washtenaw County duties, so.
Because I was thinking it was underneath our contract, and
Yep.
we have our concerns with that itself and how that could be handled separately then from what the city's doing, so appreciate that. The other questions, Mayor Pro Tem Dillon and I met with City Manager O'Toole, and I'm going to defer those because Janet came up with those questions, so.
Very good, thank you, Mr. Gearbow. Mayor Pro Tem Dillon, questions for our guests or for city staff?
Thank you. So I appreciate that you mentioned the municipalities that are the 4 that are in there. We've had a couple drop off in the last couple of years, correct?
So when we were going through this is the second go-around, there was some issues with one or more municipalities, and that's part of why we're going with the pledges. That essentially forms that relationship and solidifies it.
Okay.
And this time, the communities line up in terms of date start, where last time we were staggered a little bit.
Okay, I understand. And is there an opportunity to bring other communities in at some point?
Yes.
So they can buy into the program?
So if another one of the WARMA communities, their contract, say, expired 3 years from now, which we have several, the contract in the RFP process has a provision that allows them to come in, generally be bound by the terms and conditions of the existing RFP, which they will have had input in, which they did today. Communities that are not one of the 4 had input today and have had input into the RFP. And then there's a provision where they can negotiate their little differences with the contractor directly at that time, and then fall into the fold of the contract. Then what would happen is they would be in the contract for the rest of the term, and then we would have more communities aligning at the end of the contract term to go forward as a stronger and bigger group right from the beginning.
But are you saying that these were the entities that have since dropped, or are you looking to add new entities?
They would be new entities.
So would they have a buy-in cost?
No, they would have.
There's no buy-in, because we've been paying fees every year for the last several years.
I'm sorry, I might have misinterpreted. You're talking about entities from the outside coming into WARMA.
Correct.
And I was talking about existing WARMA communities coming into the contract.
Okay.
So miscue.
No, I'm sorry.
I do that all the time at home.
No.
And I'm usually wrong. So, no, there wouldn't be a buy-in cost to come into the authority, just establishing the articles of incorporation, which would have to be amended.
Okay.
As we gain infrastructure or we gain facilities and other meaningful assets, they would have to pay their fair share on the entry.
Okay, I appreciate that. And I have another question, and it relates back to the initial pledge and promise not to solicit separate bids or RFPs. Is there a way to tighten up the language a little bit and have a time frame attached to that? Because what I'm concerned with is that if the RFP process goes out too far, we're going to have to renegotiate with our current carrier next year when our contract expires, and we may lose our window to do that.
I understand what you're saying, and yes, we can work on the schedule of the dates. The pledge is generally during the time period from the authority's approval of the RFP through the selection of a contractor. Right now, we have some draft dates that would, I don't know, generally put that at completing the RFP in January and getting it out and having a contractor selected by, what was our projected date for that?
I believe we have a contractor selected in April. It was in our packet today. I apologize, I don't have that with me.
And so that would give you still some some time to hit the market. And just on that note, I mean, you would be free to use the template that we've used to do your own solicitation and expand on it.
What I might suggest is, if you're amenable to it, if you have a final schedule ready, that be incorporated as an exhibit to this agreement, which then could be referenced as the date for when the RFP process is concluded.
Bingo, we will do that. Perfect. Thank you for that
Thank you.
suggestion. That's a great idea.
No, I think that kind of carries through our conversation. Thank you.
Councilmember Lesh, any questions for city staff or our guests?
Just a statement, I, along with Council Member Harmuth, am very happy to see this come to fruition because I come from a long line of recycling enthusiasts, so I'm very happy to see it coming up to the city. Thank you.
Thank you. We hope it goes very well.
Go ahead, please.
Oh, sorry. I just have one last question. What's the path forward with composting, community composting with this plan?
You want me to take that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
There is.
Yeah. So we will work as WARMA to get that as a piece. So that was part of our last round. That was something that we went back and forth with the contractor on, and we tried hard to get that. The hauler said at that time they weren't ready to move forward with that, but it was something they were willing to work with us on. And so I think because we have a larger number of households, we have more negotiating power, and we want to work towards that. I would also be reluctant to roll it out immediately. We want to really do the groundwork and have WARMA work with municipalities to get out information to help people understand what is and what is not able to go in. So the path would be, we want to work on it, and it's something that WARMA is going to try to negotiate and to get in there.
And I think if you track the state of Michigan under Part 115 of the, generally the landfill regs, you'll see that the state is starting to place its hands into recycling centers from a regulatory standpoint and compost facilities. They've already announced that they're going to have certain tags on the compost that comes out of a compost facility, which is going to be a little bit of a change for compost facilities in general. But my experience over a lot of years is that when the state starts to put its hand on a subject matter, it gets a little involved. And I think you're going to see the state starting to have a hand in compost facilities. My personal feeling, and I don't know how this will go in Michigan at what point, 23% of the material nationwide that goes into a landfill is our food waste. I know I generate my share. And, I would like to see various levels of food waste be part of our compost program because I think it would enhance composting, and I think it would be a good outlet for that waste by way of diversion. But that's a little personal pet peeve I have that I've been trying to work on for years.
And speaking with my Washtenaw County hat on, that's part of why the county is supporting WARMA, is because we see this as the path to getting, one of the paths to addressing food waste.
23%.
Yeah, I heard upwards of 33%.
Yeah,
actually, so.
nationwide, 23%.
Yeah.
That's a big number.
Significant.
Right.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it very much. Why don't we hang tight, because we'll vote on the motion to acknowledge receipt and then hopefully approve, but in the event that there are additional questions or comments, you might be equipped to answer those. We do have a motion on the floor at this time, moved by Mayor Pro Tem Dillon, seconded by Councilmember Harmont, simply to acknowledge receipt of the memo from our city engineer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, the motion carries unanimously. Is there a motion now to approve or not to approve the participating member municipality contract?
Motion to approve.
Moved by Harmont to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second with the condition of adding
The exhibit.
The exhibit.
I think that can be added without objection.
Yep.
So moved by Harmont, seconded by Gearbox. Is there any additional discussion to the motion? Thank you again, appreciate it. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, the motion carries unanimously. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yep, look forward to working with you, gentlemen. Move this issue forward. We move on to the discussion portion of our agenda. First up is commission reports or other public announcements. Again, I'll start to my left and then to my right. Councilmember Harmont, do you have any updates from boards, commissions, or any other pertinent community announcements?
No, sir.
Councilmember Gearbox. None. Mayor Pro Tem Dillon.
Thank you. I don't really have too many reports as we sort of an off week for our meeting, and so I had reported out. But I did want to make mention that earlier Monday. Mr. Gearbaugh and I had an opportunity to attend the SEMCOG General Assembly, and it was a very interesting full day of a lot of data-driven slides. But there's a lot of really good things coming out of SEMCOG. There's a lot of really important information that we can utilize, and definitely, I know that Mr. Harrington, when he was here, was using some of that data and manipulating it to get some information, and they've really even expanded upon that, and so I think that's something that we really need to kind of learn how to use and use to our advantage. They also have some other meetings coming up in November. There's an economic development meeting, and they're moving now into by counties, which I think is going to be much better, because it's difficult to compare us when you're talking about other Oakland counties that have a lot of municipalities that are intertwined a little bit more than we are with the roadways and such. So the Washtenaw County one is November 22nd, and there's also a community outreach meeting that'll be in the first quarter of 2025 in February.
Thank you, Councilmember Lesh. Any reports, announcements, or updates from committees or commissions? No, sir. Clerk Royal, at this time, can I ask for you to provide an update on the upcoming general election, which will transpire officially a week from tomorrow, November the 5th?
I offered to speak on this subject.
My apologies.
That's okay. So just for the public's knowledge, early voting is open now. We opened this past weekend on October 26th. That will run through November 3rd. Every day from 9 to 5 p.m. You can vote one of two places: in person, Pittsfield Township Hall, or the Learning Resource Center, which is located at 4135 Washtenaw Avenue. You can either go in and vote in person, place your ballot in a tabulator, or you can drop off your absentee ballot there. You're also welcome to drop off absentee ballots here, of course, at City Hall. We have a drop box that's available. We do still have absentee voting available until November 4th at 4 p.m. at City Hall. So these little areas you see set up, you can come in. And the clerk's office will be open Saturday, November 2nd from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. for anyone needing to vote absentee or return a ballot. Let's see, what else? Yep, so there's the absentee ballot drop box, City Hall parking lot, or behind Comerica Bank. And then just a note for everyone, we do need absentee ballots back before 8 p.m. on the day of voting. We cannot receive any absentee ballots after that fact. So far, we've processed 2,293 absentee ballots. Early voting has processed 273 votes for the city of Saline, and there are currently 985 absentee ballots that have yet to be returned.
Very good. Nice large percentage of our voting population has already voted or is in the process of completing a ballot. That's excellent. And again, polling locations on election day, if individuals choose to vote a week from Tuesday, are the Methodist Church or Liberty School, and polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Is that correct? All right. Well, everybody do your part. As a great mayor of Chicago once said, vote early and vote often. City Manager O'Toole, can you provide a brief update? I should have asked you this, giving you a heads up on this earlier this afternoon, on leaf collection. Do you have any update on leaf collection?
Unfortunately, I don't. I'm certainly happy to find something out and publish more information on that.
Just want to maybe reiterate that barring any infrastructure emergencies or weather events, that most streets are going to be hit at least once per week, and then certainly want to communicate when the end date is, which I think is that first week in December.
Yes, typically.
Very good. Maybe we can get some information up on Facebook or on the web later this week.
Yep, no problem.
And then I believe you wanted to provide a brief update on downtown holiday lighting on behalf of Saline Main Street?
Yes, Saline Main Street received a grant for downtown holiday lighting. There was some discussion originally around what sort of participation or partnership the city would have. For the first year, the grant is sufficient to cover the full cost of purchasing lights and wreaths and having them installed by a third party. So they're moving forward with that for this year. So they'll be wrapping all of the light posts between Harris Street and Lewis along Michigan Avenue and one block north and south each on North and South Ann Arbor Street. And that's wrapping the posts as well as hanging a wreath on each one, and then lighting the trees at the four corners. I'm sure there'll be some discussion next year about what that partnership entails, but at least for this year, they have the funds to cover the full cost. And I did express to Deputy City Manager Cole, who's our business liaison, and the liaison to Saline Main Street, that I'd love to see us purchase the same lights and the same wreaths to decorate the two posts immediately outside the stairs of City Hall as well.
Excellent, appreciate that update. Any questions for the city manager regarding holiday lighting? No? Okay. Is there any other discussion items that anyone would like to bring forward this evening? Go ahead.
I know we've had a lot of signage and everything going in town, but it seems like CVS lot is now up to about maybe 25, 30 signs. I don't know, I know individuals have reported it, but I don't know what we're doing with that and if we've notified CVS, but I know we have an ordinance and feeling that nobody really is putting those signs on there without permission.
Yeah, I'd be happy to follow up on that. I've seen it grow over the last week especially.
Yeah.
This is CVS's vacant property adjacent to Dairy.
Correct.
Yes, yeah.
Yep, it's gotten.
Oh, okay.
And it's
All right.
signs, as in political signs?
Political signs, yeah. I mean, we allow up to 8, but right now it's probably up to about 30 or 25 or something like that, so.
And my hunch is the entities or individuals who place signs on that property did not get permission from CVS to do so. Thank you. If there are no additional discussion items this evening, we'll proceed to the final public comment period. Under the Open Meetings Act, any person may come forward at this time, make comment or question to City Council. This public comment period will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Anyone who would like to speak is requested, but of course not required to state his or her name and address for the record. Are there any citizen comments this evening? Please come forward to the podium. You will have 3 minutes. You can discuss anything that is on your mind this evening.
Hi, I'm Holly Piefler. I live on North Lewis Street, and I just had a few questions about the things that were discussed. I'm in the AP Government class. So was the healthcare renewal presentation, was that for like the whole city of Saline, or was that for a more specific entity?
Why don't you ask all your questions, and then either myself, my council colleagues, or staff will respond to them.
Okay. And then what parts of Saline would be affected by the resolution to accept public roads and utilities? That's all of them.
Okay. So yes, the healthcare renewal was for all employees, and it pertains to retired employees as well. And the streets affected, the neighborhood impacted tonight by the affirmative vote on agenda item 24-200 was phases 2 and 3 of Huntington Woods off of Monroe Macon Road.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Pleasure. Thank you for being here. Any additional citizen comments? Then I would defer to the city clerk. Were there any written comments provided in advance of tonight's meeting which the individual wanted their remarks read at this time? Easy enough. That there's no additional business to be brought before city council this evening. The chair would entertain a motion to adjourn this regular meeting at 7:58. So moved by Lesh. Is there a second? Seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Dillon. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
No, I got